CK got buffed in 7.35D and is slowly coming back into the meta as a lot of pro players have started playing him, and he was seen quite a bit at ESL Birmingham. Out of these pros, Arteezy has shown the best results with an over 80% win rate in his last 13 games. I decided to analyze his replays to understand the reason behind his absurd win rate and create a step-by-step guide that can help you guys play the hero and also gain MMR. For his starting items, Arteezy goes for the same exact build in every game, which is a Quelling Blade, Gauntlet, Circlet, Double Branch, and a Fairy Fire. This build does not include tangos, and Arteezy goes for this build even when he's against heroes like Timbersaw or Bristleback, where Magic Stick or Wand could be valuable. With that being said, Yatoro and Ame are also going for the same build, and the reasoning behind that is CK has a high base strength and base damage. But the base damage has a big variation, which basically means that CK's next attack could do a random number of damage between 48 to 78. Arteezy's starting items provide him with a lot of stats and damage, which not only makes CK more tankier and sustain in the lane, but it also allows him to last it even better. Arteezy upgrades the Gauntlet and Circlet into Bracers and the Double Branches into a Wand if required. In terms of no tangos in this build, Arteezy usually gets them from his support, but considering the fact that he plays in high MMR, this is normal, but in lower MMR, this is probably not a possibility. With that said, you should buy your own tangos along with the Bracer recipe after getting the bounty runes and a few last hits. Even though Arteezy gets tangos from his support, he does ship out a set of his own along with his Bracer. Since his hero has a way to be impactful in bounty rune fights thanks to the stun from the Chaos Bolt, Arteezy always prefers participating for bounty runes. He prefers fighting near the bounty towards his safe lane so he doesn't have to use his TP or walk a long distance. In most cases, if the enemy does try to fight back, Arteezy ends up getting a kill. The concept here is pretty simple. If your hero has a spell that does damage while providing with a stun or a slow, it is usually a good idea to participate in the bounty rune fights as long as your team is with you. Arteezy's laning phase is pretty standard. His main focus is getting as many last hits and denies as possible in the lane. CK is considered as a strong laner because of his Chaos Strike, which does a lot of damage while simultaneously healing him. The main thing about CK's laning phase is the spell usage. Arteezy has 3 ways of using his Chaos Bolt. The most common way he uses Chaos Bolt earlier in the laning phase is to secure last hits against heroes that have a high possibility of denying it. He times his Chaos Bolt on the enemy hero such that they cannot deny the creep, and he freely last hits it. Similar to securing creeps with the usage of Chaos Bolt, Arteezy also uses it to deny creeps. This isn't particularly limited to just the range creep, he does that even for melee creeps, especially if it's the flag bearer creep. However, the priority is the range creep followed by the flag bearer creep and then the default melee creep. The third way he uses Chaos Bolt is when he wants to deal damage to the enemy or to kill them along with Reality Rift, which is usually around level 3 or 4. Since Chaos Bolt is a stun, it can be used to inflict external damage on the enemy in different ways. This could be in the form of damage from a lot of creeps, or from multiple sources such as heroes, which usually leads up to a kill. The second thing about CK's laning is taking advantage of the Chaos Strike to sustain yourself. The standard way of laning in the side lanes is to not auto-attack creep so that the wave does not push towards the enemy. While that is the case for most heroes, CK does not exactly follow the same ideology. Chaos Strike provides CK with lifesteal, but it is on a chance rather than a guarantee. Because of this, Arteezy constantly right-clicks the creeps when he's low HP so that he can sustain himself. Rather than constantly buying more healing, CK can simply sustain himself by right-clicking creeps or even heroes. This is the biggest reason behind CK being a strong laner. Not only does this spell heal you, but it also does an insane amount of physical damage. In terms of his item progression in the lane, Arteezy upgrades his starting items into a Bracer, and if he's in a lane where there will be a decent amount of spell usage, for example against something like a Timbersaw or Bristleback, he upgrades his branches into a Wand. After that, Arteezy builds towards his treads, and the first component he buys is the Gloves of Haste. CK has a terrible attack speed, and in order to have more chances of proccing the Chaos Strike, the simplest solution would be to hit more, which is achievable by getting more attack speed, which is why Gloves of Haste is better than buying Boost of Speed or Belt of Strength. After gloves, Arteezy gets the belt followed by the boots. Since CK inherently has a way to reach targets thanks to Reality Rift, he does not really rely on movement speed. For his lane skill build, Arteezy always takes Chaos Bolt at level 1, which allows him to secure creeps in lane, fight for bounty runes, and more things as we discussed earlier. After that, he decides between Chaos Strike and Reality Rift based on the situation of the lane. If he's having an easy time in the lane where the enemy isn't doing damage to him or he has kill potential in the lane with his position 5, then he goes for Reality Rift at level 2 over the Chaos Strike. This is rarely the case. If he's being harassed constantly in the lane, he takes the Chaos Strike over the Reality Rift so that he can sustain himself. In majority of his games, he went Chaos Strike over the Reality Rift. At level 3, the thought process is the same. If he took Reality Rift at level 2, then he takes Chaos Strike at level 3 and 4. And similarly, if he took Chaos Strike at level 2, he takes Reality Rift and Chaos Strike at level 3 and 4 based on the situation of the lane. After that, he maxes his Chaos Strike whilst taking ult at level 6. His build at level 7 is always 1-1-4-1. Once Arteezy hits level 6, where he has 3 points in Chaos Strike and has his ult, he stops holding the wave and starts pushing it so that he can start farming the side camps to accelerate his farming. Rather than using his ultimate to fight the enemy, he uses it to farm the side camps with him, and if there's an opportunity to pressure the enemy, he does that as well since the lane is quite close to the side camps. His farming pattern is quite simple. He pushes in the lane and then farms the nearest and safest side camps. The key thing to understand here is that if the camps in your main jungle are unsafe to farm, then you should farm the camps behind your tower so that you don't end up feeding. For his first big item, Arteezy always opts for the Armlet. Armlet provides CK with attack speed, insane amounts of damage, strength, armor, and slow resistance. All of the things that CK loves. The downside of Armlet is usually the constant self-damage, but thanks to Chaos Strike, CK can sustain himself, so this item is perfect for the hero. In total, with its active, Armlet provides CK with 40 damage and 550 HP, which is a lot. The main thing about CK is his illusion usage and microing. While microing is beneficial, it isn't necessary on the hero since you won't be spamming illusions, and they aren't a lot until you hit level 18. The key thing is to know how to use CK illusions properly. With level 1 ult, Arteezy pretty much uses his Phantasm off cooldown to farm. CK doesn't exactly farm that fast by himself, but with his illusions, he can farm at a really fast pace, so it's necessary to use the illusions to farm. Arteezy uses his illusion to farm dangerous parts of the map that his main hero cannot reach. Ideally, you should try to send illusions to the enemy territory to farm either their camps or farm waves deeper in the lanes. This is crucial as you want to maximize your farm. And if you use it to farm places your main hero can easily reach, well, you're gonna miss out on a lot of gold. With level 2 ult, Arteezy does the same exact thing. He uses it pretty much off cooldown to accelerate his farm and do the exact same thing. You can see that he's going forward while his illusions are farming the ancients. With level 3 ult, it is also the same exact thing. In short, Phantasm is mostly only used to farm, and if you see the enemy close to you, you can call the illusions near you and then press Reality Rift to gather them. Now you probably are thinking that Pain, if he's using Phantasm just to farm, how is he killing heroes? The answer to this question is the CK shard that I will go over more in the itemization section later on. Every video takes a lot of effort, and I want to keep helping you guys by making quality content. If you are enjoying the video, please make sure to like the video and comment your thoughts as it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and do subscribe. Arteezy's main focus is to get to his Orchid timing after Armlet, but he's open to joining early fights if he's having a good game. If Arteezy and his team are having a decent time, he tends to join early fights even if he only has an Armlet. CK is a really strong hero even with just Armlet, and if he's having a decent game, it's usually a good idea to capitalize on the timing. If Arteezy isn't having a good time, he tends to focus on farming his Orchid, and after that, he tends to join fights if they happen near him or somewhere he can TP to. The key thing to understand is that even if your hero is capable of fighting, you don't want to mindlessly run around the map. Keep up with your farm and let things happen naturally rather than forcing them. After Armlet, Arteezy always buys an Orchid. Previously, Echo Saber was the go-to item for CK, but since attack speed got removed from the Echo Saber, it is not as good anymore and Orchid is preferred. Echo Saber costs 2700 and Orchid costs 3275, and in terms of value, Orchid provides with 40 attack speed and 3.25 mana regen and can be upgraded into Bloodthorn later on, which is especially good on illusion heroes. In comparison, Echo Saber provides no attack speed and only 1.75 mana regen. Arteezy usually has Orchid and Armlet by the 15th minute mark, and at that time, most heroes do not have a Dispel. So with the active of the Orchid and the attack speed, it is almost always a guaranteed kill because CK has Reality Rift for catch. After Orchid, Arteezy almost always buys Shard unless he desperately needs a crucial item quickly like a BKB. Shard answers the question of dealing damage without Phantasm. CK's Shard spawns a Phantasm illusion on Chaos Bolt while increasing the cast range. So basically, you can press Orchid and Chaos Bolt on a target and they are pretty much dead. The item is great. You can spam your Phantasm to farm while you roam around and kill heroes with Orchid and Shard illusion. For his skill build, Arteezy always maxes his Chaos Strike first, followed by Reality Rift and then Chaos Bolt. He starts with Chaos Bolt at level 1, and after that he puts at least 1 point in Reality Rift by level 4 and then maxes Chaos Strike. He takes Ultimate at level 6, 12 and 18. Chaos Strike is CK's main source of damage and healing, so maxing it first is mandatory as it will also help in farming faster for the main hero as well as the illusions. Reality Rifts, cast range, pull distance, armor reduction, and cooldown all get affected positively at every level, so maxing it next is crucial because it's CK's main form of catch. For his talents, at level 10, Arteezy always takes the plus 35% Chaos Strike lifesteal over the Reality Rift pull distance. CK's Chaos Strike got nerfed back when he was Giga Broken, and having a 35% increase in the lifesteal helps overcome that and also allows CK to sustain himself in fights. At level 15, he always takes the minus 100% Phantasm Illusion incoming damage over the cooldown reduction on the Chaos Bolt. Even though he gets shard and the CDR would be beneficial, Arteezy prefers making his illusions tankier. At level 20, Arteezy always takes the Reality Rift Pierce's spell immunity talent. CK does physical damage, and being able to reach BKB heroes basically means that he can kill them through it, so this talent is pretty good. At level 25, Arteezy always takes the duration increase on the Phantasm Illusions, as it allows him to spam it more often because it is essentially a minus 10-second cooldown on the ability if you think about it. It means more wave cutting, more capability of joining fights with the illusions, and illusions in general are really valuable in the current patch. After getting Orchid and Shard, Arteezy chooses from BKB, Heart, Bloodthorn mostly. There are other items as well, but these are the main ones that you should focus on. If he's in a game where the enemy has a lot of lockdown and kite that does not pierce immunity, he tends to go for BKB after Orchid and Shard so that he can man-fight the enemy. Even though CK is an illusion-based hero, the main hero is the one who does the most damage, and BKB is necessary. If he's in a game where the enemy does not have a lot of lockdown, magical damage, or has BKB piercing spells such as RP, Black Hole, Arteezy skips the BKB and goes Heart instead. Heart makes CK and his illusion super tanky and is a crucial part of his build. Even if Arteezy goes BKB, he still goes for Heart right after that. His build mostly involves in buying Heart either right after Orchid and Shard, or after the additional item like BKB. Heart cannot and must never be skipped on CK. After getting these items, Arteezy tends to go either Silver Edge or Bloodthorn. If he needs a surprise factor in mobility, he goes for the Silver Edge to move around the map easily because of the low downtime. If he doesn't need that, he upgrades his Orchid into Bloodthorn for damage. Silver Edge and Bloodthorn can both be bought. All of these items can be bought in the same game. It's just a matter of what is required first, which you should be able to decide based on the explanations I've given. In some cases, you can also buy SNY or Manta on this hero. If there's a need for Dispel, you can adjust Manta in your build. If there's a need for status resistance, for example, against spells like Bat-Rider Lasso or RP, you can adjust SNY in your build, but it should be earlier on. Ideally, after Orchid and Shard if you don't need BKB. When it comes to team fighting, target prioritization is important on CK. Arteezy uses his Silver Edge to get a good positioning and then aims for the squishier targets with his Bloodthorn and Illusions. The goal is to burst the squishier targets rather than focusing on beefier targets, because if you ignore the squishier targets, they will press their buttons and kite you a lot. Arteezy makes the fights simpler by killing targets that will dismantle his illusions, and usually it's the controlling supports or mid laners. If you wish to gain MMR and become a better player, I offer coaching packages where I personally help you to get better. Slots have been opened for May. If you're interested in that or educational discussions, join my Discord linked in the description. Other than that, I'm currently on my road to 9k MMR and stream educational content regularly on my Twitch channel. You can follow it in the description. Also, check out my Patreon where I offer a lot of perks. Lastly, do make sure to subscribe and like the video for more high quality content like this, and do let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments.